right, so we are group 3. Welcome to our second portfolio. We're going to discuss coalition building and professional communication. Let's just introduce ourselves really quick.
I'm Josh Zach.
I'm Niyant Shatagar.
I'm Hannah Sargent.
I'm Alexander Kennan.
I'm Jinrun.
And I'm Keya, Raval.
All right, so coalition building is omnipresent in professional communication. I'm going to kick it over to Keya to get us started.
Yeah, our thesis pretty much starts off with the concept that coalitions are essential in order to achieve broad and comprehensive goals, whether they're organizational, legislative, production-oriented, or otherwise. And coalition-based communication equates to the unification of diverse ideologies and opinions behind a single cause, which is why it's so indispensable. So I'm going to let Alex finish off our thesis.
All right, so the formal thesis we came up with is successful coalition building is not a passive process. It's present in fields from politics to PR, sales, and it requires active use of persuasive communication skills to bring disparate groups together towards a common goal. All right, now we're going to get started with some formal introductions of the positions we all hope to go into, and we're going to discuss. Let's get started with you, Josh.
Yeah, so medical device sales, it involves reps selling healthcare technology, surgical tools, implants, monitoring devices, and they're selling it to clinicians. Reps educate them on how the device works. They support procedures in the operating room, and they help the healthcare teams choose what products to basically improve the patient outcome.
So for banking and public relations, I would like to work in the financial sector and bring together communication skills from PR and just networking to bring media outlets and newsletters along with press releases from the banks, telling customers how the banks are operating, any feedback they might need, and just overall commentary to bring the community a lot closer.
So I would like to work one day in sports hospitality and management. I actually currently have an internship, and my specific title is brand partnership fulfillment. So I want to help brands by, first the sales team will sell it to them, and then what my job would be in the future would be to make sure that our company is compliant with our contract, to make sure that the brands end up getting the activations that they paid for. And just, this was specific to the sporting industry, so like when you see signs at football games, stuff like that, or activations outside, maybe at a tailgate, that kind of thing.
All right, and I want to go into digital marketing. I currently work as a social media intern at the Eagleton Institute of Politics right here at Rutgers, and I had a brief internship with a digital startup this semester, and I just have become so fascinated with the work and the process of bringing marketing and innovative campaigns directly to people on their devices. We all exist in a digital context these days, and I find the application of the academic tenets of marketing and public relations in the digital space to be so fascinating. So I just wanted to analyze a position there through this lens.
Oh yes, and hi, I'm Jinrun for the financial sales. So what I mainly do is help clients understand financial products and choose the solution that better match their needs. So basically, my job is a mix of communication, analyst, and relationship building. So I'll focus on helping clients make smart financial decisions. Yes.
Yeah, and I'm Keya. I'd like to work in political communication. So kind of just blending my passion for politics with public relations and the way that we study it. I'd really like to work on the communications team of a government official or a local government office, because I really want to serve the people where they're at, and that communication and education is one of the most important things to maintaining a very functional society. And that's why I really am passionate about this stuff. I think we're going to move on.
So getting right into it, I chose medical device sales because it does a good job of blending comms, tech, and purpose in a way that feels meaningful to me. I see myself enjoying explaining complex ideas in a clear way, and this field will give me the chance to do that every single day with clinicians. So when you look at the slide, you kind of see three core pillars. First, communication, where reps have to break down sophisticated devices so that the healthcare team can make their decision. Second, technology. The tech itself is fascinating. You know, these tools are constantly evolving and they're genuinely life-changing for a lot of people. And then finally, there's purpose. Everything we do ultimately ties back to helping patients. So this combination is pretty exciting. So it's not just selling a product, it's actually helping real people. So moving on. So there's four kind of major forces that are actively shaping the medical device industry. First is AI and connected wearables. So that's devices like continuous glucose monitors, cardiac sensors, and then remote tracking systems. Otherwise, they basically send real-time data to clinicians. That means the care can extend beyond the clinic. Reps need to understand not just the hardware, but the software and the data behind it. So it's complicated. Second, there's a big shift in regulation and data privacy. So as devices become more digital, the FDA and then HIPAA guidelines are all getting more complex. Reps have to understand the compliance guidelines, the cybersecurity risks, and even how the data is protected. The third trend is the change in the role of the sales rep in general. So we're no longer just product presenters. We're really consultative partners. Doctors expect reps to understand the performance of the device, the clinical evidence behind it, and even technical troubleshooting if it doesn't work. Then finally, there's the sustainability. As with a lot of other fields, it's becoming a real priority. Hospitals want suppliers that are focused on reducing waste and using recyclable materials. So all these trends are really showing how the field is quickly evolving. So next slide, please. Thank you. When we look at the numbers, the future of the medical device industry is extremely strong. The market is projected to climb from around 810 billion to over $1 trillion within the next few years, and some forecasts it even place it at 1.3 trillion by 2029. So for professionals in the field, that growth means stability and opportunity. The average salary sits a little above 100,000, and with commission that can go way up to 200,000 and more. So it's a career with a lot of financial upside. Even though the job growth percentage is steady rather than explosive like a few other fields, every $1 billion in the US medical technology field revenue, it supports thousands of jobs. So that means as the industry expands, new roles open up in sales and clinical support and even product management. So overall, the projections make it clear it's a growing field and it's rewarding for those who want to stay in it. So to be successful in the medical device sales field, preparation really does matter. Most reps start with a bachelor's degree in business, marketing, or a health science like biology, but communication is definitely not unheard of. So you really want something that builds a base in communication and analytical skills. From there, you want hands-on sales experience. It's incredibly valuable to build the skills of negotiation and empathy and relationship building. So those skills are actually really essential when you're dealing with surgeons or administrators who have limited time. Next is the clinical knowledge. Reps need to understand the anatomy and procedures behind it and how the devices actually function in the operating room. So that's where programs like the Medical Sales College come in. So it's a short course. They offer technical training, compliance education, and they actually offer exposure to the actual devices. And then finally, you want to join a company that invests in its employees. So Medtronic is a great example in this. They're known for their innovation. They have really good, strong sales training and leadership development. And they give reps the opportunity to grow into the higher level roles, which is obviously something I would want in the long term. So to wrap it up, these will be the key takeaways of why this career matters. First, the impact medical device sales directly contribute to improving patient outcomes and saving lives. This adds to the sense of purpose I'll get from this job. Second, the skill set. This field pushes you to communicate clearly and learn quickly. You need to be able to adapt to the new tech. So it's a career that keeps you sharp and growing. Third, it's the growth potential. So the industry is constantly expanding globally. The salaries are strong, and there's a real opportunity for success here. So for me, the goal is to eventually move into sales leadership at a company like Medtronic, where I can keep developing, keep making a broad impact. That's it. So thank you for listening. I'll pass it on to Niyant.
So my career interest is a PR customer service representative for Provident Bank. And this is going to be a comprehensive outlook into the scope of PR and financial institutions. And just like the aforementioned with Josh outlined, it has communicative intention. So it would relay PR messages through newsletter and cohesive communicative endeavors, including websites and advertisements. And for tech, we would be working with social media channels and online posts. So in terms of advertising for the bank, I know a lot of people have switched over to online banking. So it's really important for us to keep up with the forums and social media channels that drive online banking and create opportunity for them to exist. And for the purpose, it would be to make a long-lasting impression on the customer and consumer base. Everything is consumer based. Everything is based off the customer. The customer is always right. So that's going to be the primary focuses of this presentation. So trends defining the industry. So there's an increased use of AI, which has been prevalent in the past, I would say 3 to 4 years in terms of marketing and in the implementation of PR newsletters. So a lot of the newsletters and marketing ads that you see are generated by AI these days. So we're kind of trying to bring to light that we can use AI in this industry, but we also want to offer some personalization. So it's kind of working with the trends that AI will be a continuum. However, we have to stay strong in the footing that we can work alongside AI and not let it take over. And then there's a focus on inclusivity. Jobs have become more diverse. So there's like a lot more like diversified criteria of people to create a more inclusive work environment. So in terms of that, we see that people from different backgrounds, from different ethnic backgrounds, from different educational backgrounds, and from different jobs, all have been employed in financial institutions increasingly in the past 3 to 4 years. So we want to focus on the inclusivity and make sure that all people in the customer base feel that they're included, and that when we relay information over to the public, that it's not just specific to one group, the wealthy, the poor. It should be a mix and amalgamation of everything. And there's an online focus. So like I said before, there's a switch to online banking and online forums, which have been prevalent in recent years. So just like I talked about with the increased use of AI, we see an increase in online banking, and some banks are entirely online, but I'll be focusing on the ones that bring together the groundwork of a financial institution that is there in person, as well as the ones that are there with an online focus to create a happy medium between both of them. Moving on. So future projections and career outlook. So the average salary is a quite hefty one. It's about $78,000 a year according to salary.com. It's a great place for people to start up after they graduate from college, or even if they're just well into their working years. So I feel like from there you can always move up in terms of salary, and it's a good baseline for people to start to financially support themselves. In terms of job creation, according to the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, employment of public relations specialists is projected to grow from 5% from 2024 to 2034. So it's going to increase by about 1/5 of the numbers that are already there. Public relations specialists are prevalent in many fields, but according to the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, the public relations specialists in financial industries are projected to grow 5%. So we'll see a lot more public relations jobs in the financial sector, which is really important to consider. For global demand, it's a $106 billion industry. It's supposed to grow even more by 2050, but uh, the facet that we have to recognize is that global demand might shift, and it's not entirely upwards. It's more of like looking to be upwards, but it could be that we'll see some stagnation in the future because there are different online banking systems that have been automated and generated by automated robots in the past. So it's important to just consider that when going into the field, but it is pretty lucrative from the sound of it. And for preparation and ideal employer, so in order to prepare for this job, you have to have a good educational forefront. You have to have a good educational background. You don't necessarily need to be at the top of your class or anything, but you have to be a bachelor's in communications, finance, journalism, or public relations. If you've been already working as a sales associate in a bank, you might see a little bit of a opportunity for you to grow in your field. But if you're just starting from the ground up, it's important to have a bachelor's in one of those fields. You have to have certain communication skills as well. You have to be able to handle customers using profound communication, as well as being able to deal with a diverse subset of people. You're going to be dealing with a lot of people in your time as a financial employee, and when you're creating newsletters to deal with customer bases, you're working on websites to deal with the consumer bases. It's important to just be very well-rounded in communication. For preparatory knowledge, you're going to need a lot of that. You should know the ins and outs of finances. You should know how to give out a loan. You should know how to open up a checking account. You should just be able to do all the stuff that people expect you to be able to do. And you have to be able to construct newsletters and speak to agencies willing to write about your institution's work. If you want to advertise that the bank has services that are going to be fruitful for somebody else, it's important to relay that in your work. And the only way to do that is through very good oratory skills and very good writing skills. In terms of professional development, it's good to have certifications such as writing certs, public relations courses to bolster improvement. It's always good to have a portfolio just to make yourself stand out there. And when you're offering pitches to the PR team of your financial institution, it's always a good idea to bring together your educational background and what makes you stand out from everybody else. And in terms of leadership, you have to know how to lead the team and point them to the right direction regarding PR and marketing for the firm. And Provident Bank, their message is commitment you can count on. So for the key takeaways, we're going to start with impact. So it's going to just boil down to leaving a long-lasting impact on firms and customers when designing newsletters and broadcasts under the PR light. So that just, you want to be able to create something that you want to create like a mini legacy for yourself. You want to be able to have something that people talk about even when they're just talking with their friends. They might say, oh, Provident Bank has this opportunity. Provident Bank has this deal when it comes to opening up a business checking account or a 401k. So you just really want to just make sure that you are heard of and you leave a long lasting impact. In terms of skills, you need organization, writing skills, speech, and punctuality. These are all things I mentioned before. In terms of growth, try to aim for ways to improve your career, and with proper know-how, rise up in the industry. That's for personal growth. It's a $105 billion industry, so you'll definitely see some growth in the long term as well. And if you stay in the industry, for leadership, you should showcase your talents and try to start being the go-to for people who want to learn about the industry, so people can count on you and know that you were there for helping them and assisting them with all their needs. And portfolio building, you should compile a writing and oratory skills portfolio so you can be the face of the PR and media campaign and work towards marrying your financial skills with PR and marketing skills. And that's pretty much it.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about sports brand partnerships and corporate hospitality. So, the main goal of this job is to deliver client experiences and manage brand partnerships. The goal is to make sure that you're treating the client like the king, you're making sure that they're getting what they paid for. And I personally really enjoy relationship building and like working in client services. Um, I think it's important to network and to build those relationships for multiple reasons, but mainly just to make it feel super personal and really make it feel like the customer and the client is being heard, is being cared for, and listened to. And really, you just want to create a memorable experience, and you also want to create a memorable brand, a measurable brand return. You want to make sure that the people that are buying this and the companies that are buying this are getting what they paid for. So they're getting the advertisements, they're getting word out about their brand or their message, they're getting what they paid for from the company. So, some trends defining the industry right now. There is a really high pressure to heighten return on investment. Basically, this means that return on investment is just basically getting what you paid for. You, like I said before, want to make sure clients are getting great experiences, and that is basically like my job would be. There's also a big shift towards technology. Obviously, in this day and age, we use technology so frequently, it's very prevalent. So, you don't want to use things like you don't want to only rely on things like visibility and activations that would happen more at like an in-person event, such as like a football game. You see the signage on the like LED light screens, or you see like maybe like a food truck out front. That would be examples of visibility and activations. Now we're talking shifting towards digital engagement and ways to get fans digitally engaged so that companies are not only seeing that you're using their activations and their advertisements, but also when it comes to online outside of venue experiences. Something really, really prevalent in this industry is premium clubs, VIPs, suite like access. People like to have um, premier access to things. They want to, be treated specially, and the amount of money that these companies pay, they deserve access to those kinds of things. So making sure that the VIP clubs, the suites, like the boxes in certain venues are really good. People are getting what they paid for again. And then finally, just digital marketing. It's important to use social media and broadcast things like live videos to reach the markets that you want to sell to and want to join your brand. The rise of social media platforms, especially visual and interactive platforms such as TikTok and Twitter and Instagram, have opened up a brand new set of marketing opportunities for sports brands. So, future projections and career outlooks. The average salary is around $83,488. I found some data that said it was higher, but this seems more correct just based on everything that I looked at. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, it has an average rate of growth. The sports industry is huge, obviously, and they just have found that it's not really excelling like things like AI. That industry is the rate of growth is very rapid. This is just kind of on a steady rate of growth, nothing too crazy. And the projected job growth is about 10%, according to the University of Kentucky. As the industry continues to grow, demand will increase for roles like the one I'm looking for, and the demand for them will increase, which also means that pay will begin to be more competitive. This is, of course, based off things like your degree, your experience, and just how good you would be fitting for the role. So preparations and for ideal employer. First of all, you want to get your bachelor's degree in fields like marketing, business, communications, hospitality. Obviously, you can get it in other or more specific fields, but these are generally what is best for this field. For previous experience, I would start out, and how I am starting out is with an internship. Hopefully that will lead to an entry-level job where maybe I work under someone and shadow them to really see how to perform well in the role. Also, things like campaigns or hospitality programs that can help you get more experience working with clients and VIP experiences. Key skills that are really, really important for this are client-partner relationship management. This is knowing when, you kind of just have to give in, when you have to say, okay, you know what, you're right, we're going to figure this out together. Managing the relationship to make them feel valued and special. And also project management, because you do have to set up a ton of different events, club experiences, suite experiences, activations, all that kind of thing. As for professional development, you can actually go ahead and get your degree in something more specific. The example I'm using is sports management because I want to go into the sporting industry. But any sort of management, you can kind of go into something like this. And this might just help you get maybe a better position. It might open opportunities up for advancement in the industry, and it can give you a lot of good tools and experiences for the industry itself. And then finally, with leadership, it's really important if you do want to progress in your role and become more of a leader, you keep a record of delivering successful hospitality programs. You want, whoever's reviewing you to be able to see that you're good at your job and that you're able to put on events, be hospitable, have good client relations, things like that. Also, having a niche specialization, maybe only working in Major League Baseball or working specifically with certain sports teams, like that can help set you apart and give you more room for leadership. So just an example of an employer that would probably be ideal for what I'm looking to do would be Legends Hospitality. Legends Hospitality is basically a globally recognized firm that is in stadiums and venues, and they're the people that provide the premium guest experiences and partnership with brands, as opposed to the venue itself having to worry about that. So that's kind of like what I do right now. I work with Scarlet Asset Management Company, and it's a Rutgers subsidiary that goes and handles all the brand partnerships so that Rutgers Athletics themselves doesn't have to do it. And so this is basically that, just in a grand scheme of things, not just with Rutgers. So some key takeaways. The impact is really important. You're basically trying to deliver the best possible client experience so that they look back on their time with your team or your brand and have great reflection. You also want to manage brand sponsorship and the activations, just making sure that the clients are getting what they paid for. important skills are client relations and project coordination. This seems kind of obvious, but it's so important to be able to communicate efficiently with your clients, making sure that they're satisfied with your service and doing anything you can to help them. For growth, it's going to go on to demand a much more personalized experience, and you want the people to really think that to know that you care about them and their business. Success comes from education, experience, and being able to network and communicate strategically. And for leadership, it's recommended to get a master's degree in sports management with a more niche specialization that will help you really focus in on what you want to do. And hopefully one day I will end up being a brand partnership fulfillment coordinator instead of intern.
All right, now I'm going to talk about digital marketing. My three key factors that I've outlined are communication, relationships, and purpose. So communication is essentially providing, in this industry, is providing comprehensive marketing services rooted in brand identity and emerging digital trends. And what I mean by this is providing a digital experience for a brand that may have existed before the internet even existed. You need to translate their identity to online trends. Now, relationships, both professional and interpersonal relationships, play a pivotal role in success outcomes in digital marketing. And what I mean by this is just here, 1 second. Okay, intermission. All right, so sorry. Back to what I was saying. So relationships, both professional and interpersonal, play a pivotal role in success outcomes in digital marketing. So what I mean by this is both professional relationships in traditional marketing and working in the digital space. At big marketing firms, there's typically someone who's designated to work in digital alongside a lot of people who do more traditional marketing. Having those kinds of relationships intact is important. And interpersonal relationships, personal connections, people you might know who work in marketing, really just learning from each other, especially as digital marketing emerges as a field, is very important. Now, the purpose of digital marketing is the promotion of a brand, service, or product in an engaging and inspiring manner which meets consumers in the digital space. So I'm sure we could all point to a digital ad, a TikTok ad that inspired us or something like that. That is digital marketing's purpose, to meet you where you are, inspire you to engage in some sort of consumer behavior and just generate trends, generate buzz. That's the purpose of digital marketing. So trends defining the industry. AI power is huge in digital marketing. So AI powers several key facets within digital marketing. Whether it's generating content or providing predictive analytics, it has become inevitable in the industry. So while I don't personally agree with this, AI-generated advertisements are becoming the norm. Even in traditional marketing areas like television or things like that, we've been seeing AI emerge. So AI is emerging and almost threatening to take over the field. So it's an important factor to learn how to harness to our advantage and to power with human ingenuity. So AI power is emerging in a big way, not only in the creation of ads and the creation of marketing, but in the sourcing of analytics. AI power is being implemented into end-to-end encryption like cookies that people use online to track user data. That is becoming an AI-powered process. And that's very important in the analytical side of marketing and digital marketing, and AI is threatening to take over that as well. So consumer data collection, as I was just touching on, third-party cookies have long been the modus operandi of digital marketing, but as modern data privacy concern grows, data sourced with first-party consent is becoming an industry standard. So what I mean by this is consumers are taking a more active role in the marketing process. So as concerns around privacy grow, concerns around consent of when your data is being sourced have begun to grow as well. So people are trying to stave off the use of AI and really just have an idea of where their data is going. And digital marketing thrives off of sourced user data. So this is an important consideration going forward. Social commerce. So social media integration of consumer goods such as TikTok Shop or Facebook Marketplace blur the line between content discovery and online shopping, warranting unique marketing consideration. So it feels like every social media platform is trying to be everything to everyone these days. There's Facebook Marketplace, there's TikTok Shop, Instagram tried to have a shop feature briefly, Pinterest links to other shopping things. Digital marketing is becoming the web that ties social media together and brings money out of consumers. So social commerce is a very important thing to consider, both ethically and just how can we effectively use social commerce to sell a product or an experience. And that can be anywhere from having a famous influencer attend something and post it on TikTok. That's posted on TikTok. That's social commerce. Or a connect with TikTok shop. You know, sometimes my For You page will have 5 shop links in a row. It's very, very annoying, but it's very effective social commerce. So that's a trend emerging in digital marketing. Now, beyond that, there's conversational marketing. So digital marketing has repositioned itself as a communicative conversational process through the use of intentional influencer partnerships, AI-powered chatbots, and digital commons integration. So, as I had said, if you're trying to market an experience, having an influencer go there and tell you how to get tickets, things like that, that is an intentional influencer partnership. But beyond that, sending influencers PR, it turns, especially like influencers such as like Alex Earl, Addison Rae, people who do get ready with me content, do content that brings you like right into their bedroom, into their life. Intentional partnerships with them turn marketing into a conversation rather than a direct consideration of sale. Now, beyond this, AI-powered chatbots and digital commons integration, what I mean by this is on every website that you go to, sorry, 1 second. Oh my God. All right. So AI-powered chatbots and digital commons integration, they are essential in shopping. Every website you go on says chat with us. It'll be an AI chat or a customer service person or things like that. And that is an integration of conversational marketing. You can ask a bot, you can ask a customer service person. You're never alone when you're shopping. And that's important. All right. So future projections and career outlook. The average salary is between $45,000 and $75,000. Top earners can often crest up to $200,000 once you get into a leadership type of a role. Okay, we've calmed down over here. So my goal is, of course, to end up in leadership, but $45,000 to $75,000 is a pretty agreeable margin, especially for when you're just starting out. Job creation, there's a 6% growth forecast in the next decade for digital marketing. And global demand, it is a $1.9 billion industry, and it's forecasted to grow even more. Digital marketing is becoming important in politics, important in everywhere you could possibly think. Digital is a big consideration, and that's the true growth potential of digital marketing. Employment and industry growth, entry-level positions in major cities are ideal. Industry stems out from traditional economic hubs. So I'm very fortunate I live close to New York City. Working in digital marketing in a major city is an ideal place to start, but digital marketing is beginning to pop up across the country. All right, so charting a career path. For education, I have a bachelor's, well, I'm going to have a bachelor's in communications, and I have an AA in marketing from my community college. So that's just my personal experience, but to get into digital marketing, you can get an associate's in marketing and business and communications, and it's important to get certifications. This is an industry that relies majorly on LinkedIn, promoting yourself, that sort of thing. So whatever you can do to both gain practical experience, but convey that experience as well is important. Now, experience, this is just my personal experience. I've been at the Eagleton Institute of Politics for 6 months as a digital marketing intern, and I currently have an internship at Lake House Music, which is a local music academy. So internship experience is imperative just to get started and understand the industry as it's working. So I've been fortunate to have some experience so far, and I have some planned for next semester. So knowledge, understanding of professionalism and industry best practices, and the ability to analyze and assess market trends and behavior. So this is the kind of stuff that you learn on the job. There's a lot, and we've been fortunate to go to Rutgers, all of us, but there's a lot you learn in class at Rutgers, but there is a lot you learn on the job. So that harkens back to experience. Getting good internship experience and getting some tangible work that you can cite that says, this is where I learned that, this was the deliverable, that sort of thing. And professional development, education should be viewed in any field, but particularly in this field, as a constant, continual pursuit of a certification when relevant. On-the-job training as an entry-level employee is important. So once I hopefully get my foot in the door as an entry-level employee. I intend to continually regard education as something that's necessary for a career, especially when I start out. I want to never feel like I'm behind the eight ball on anything. So just professional development, it's constant, especially when you start out, even though you've graduated college. Now, leadership, identification of industry pioneers in causal work relevant to passions. So what I mean by that is identifying leaders. The LinkedIn community is important here. LinkedIn community connection, participating, expressing yourself, conveying your experience, identifying leaders, meeting them where they are, and talking to them. Finding people who are in the digital marketing industry but are doing marketing for something that you care about or something you find interesting is important, and that's how you will translate your own experience into leadership experience, because you will lead yourself towards the career that you want to have. Now, the ideal employer that I've identified is Weber Shandwick. They are a public relations firm, but I was drawn to Weber Shandwick because they have a reliance on digital, and all of their work is cause and purpose driven. Every campaign that I've seen from them, you can tell that they really care about what they're trying to promote. And that is the manner in which I approach this work. So they have 5,000 employees in 81 countries, and they focus on digital innovation, which merges the world of PR and digital marketing. So some key takeaways here. The impact of a career in digital marketing is to contribute to innovating marketing strategies and creative branding solutions at a reputable firm in a major city. Skills include data analytics, social media, public relations, and demographic research. Growth is a $1.9 billion industry, $65,000 average salary, luckily, and there's a 6% growth trend. Professional development, as I said, education is constant. Learn from your peers and pursue certifications no matter what career level you're at. And leadership, establish yourself in the professional community and extract lessons and goals from each campaign that you want. So my career goal is a digital marketing manager at Weber Shandwick. All right, I'm going to pass it over to Jinrun.
Jinrun, just letting you know you're still muted.
This is Jinrun, and for financial sales and business development. So today I would like to share my career exploration in financial sales and business development, and why I'm interested in this field and what's happening in this the industry, and how I'm preparing for the future career. So first, in financial sales, I believe everything starts with communication. And for me, I really enjoy building strong client relationships, and just like talking to people, understand their needs, building trust, and also someone who likes to use market insights and data to figure out what client really wants. And overall, my purpose in this field, I believe, is simple: just help client make smarter financial decisions and support long-term growth. Yes, moving on. The trends defining the financial industry. So, yeah, when I look into the industry, I realize like, wow, the finance is changing really fast. First, digital transformation. As we know, the AI, automation, data analysts, they are completely reshaping how financial products are sold and personalized. And second, client expectation, a reason. People want service they are faster, transparent, and the data-driven. Third, cybersecurity. As more financial activity move online, protecting client information becomes a big priority. And finally, sustainable finance. More clients care about environmental and social responsibility when they invest. So yes, the industry is transforming, and it's look exciting for me. Moving on. For the future projection, career outlook, when I look at the future outlook, it made me even more confident about this path. The median salary in 2024 was about 80 100,000, and experienced roles can go up to 90,000, 160,000. Not bad at all. Job growth is also strong, 9% from 2024 to 2034, which is faster than the average. And companies really want people who can combine financial knowledge and digital literacy. It's exact the direction I want to go in. There's also great career advancement potential, especially if you earn the certification or pursue an MBA. So overall, the outlook is really positive for me. Yeah. The preparation and ideal employer. So first, education. I have a bachelor degree in business and communication. Second, internship experience. I already have 2 internship in the product sales at the a securities company. Third, technical and analytical skills. Being able to analyze the market trends and the client behavior is essential. Fourth, professional development. I eventually want to pursue an MBA to strengthen my leadership skills. And when it comes to my ideal employer, for me, it's Goldman Sachs. They are a global leader in investment banking and asset management with more than 45,000 employees across more than 35 countries. It's definitely the kind of place I hope to go in. Moving on. So the key takeaways for my presentation is the first impact. Financial sales professionals have drive business growth through the data-driven strategies and strong client relationship. The skill communication, first of all, negotiation, market analysis, and the financial product knowledge. Growth, 80,000 median salary and high job growth. Professional development, I will continue to improve my leadership skill, maybe later an MBA. And the leadership, I want to contribute to financial innovation and the global client development. So for the long term, my career goal is become a business development manager. So yes, for the next speaker.
All right, yeah. So I would really like to work in political communication, which I think kind of deals with almost everything that everyone here has talked about today. But one of the biggest things is obviously communication. When you're working in political comms, you have to be able to create connections between the constituents who are the everyday citizens and their political representatives in order to navigate and understand policy, not only on a local scale, but also on a state and federal government scale. So just being able to translate some of that legalese that a lot of our bills are written in order to make them accessible to the everyday citizen is super duper important as a political communicator, as is building relationships. Interpersonal relationships are the key to political communication because they are the backbone not only of professional politics, but also for field organizing. And that very basic grassroots level of field organization is the first step to any sort of political career or campaign. No matter who you're working for, no matter where you're working, if you're in politics, you need to learn to communicate with the everyday people at your grocery store, at your neighbor's house, anywhere where you're seeing somebody who may be voting for you. You have to be able to deliver your message in a principled and purposeful manner. And speaking of purpose, the purpose of political communication is to deliver messages to the public in an easily accessible way in order to create a bond between the politicians and the people that they serve. So being a political communicator is really integral, not just to the politicians, but also to whoever is going to vote for them and whoever is putting them on the ballot. So we're going to move on to some of the industry trends. As we know, there's a lot of instability in politics right now. There have been a lot of shifts in the political sphere because public opinion is a very fickle thing. So a lot of constant realignment in how we see our politics and how we understand the people who are representing us can create a lot of animosity and just very many different factors in the political sphere that are not always stable, which makes you have to be a very adaptable communicator. Things like the cost of living crisis, you have to be able to address affordability if you want to be an effective political communicator in today's specific day and age. You have to know what the top issues are for your voters, and you have to know how to address that. Otherwise, as that quote says, ineffective political communication is why citizens protest, unions go on strike, and political leaders lose their reputations. So just being able to navigate that instability and maintain a really strong stance and understanding of your own policies is super important to any political communicator. Alongside that, polarization is a super duper big issue right now. People are getting stuck in echo chambers and they make them extremely dissatisfied with their perception of democratic processes. So these echo chambers are not only online, but they're also in person, and they're fostered by mainstream media as well as social media. So knowing how to not just infiltrate an echo chamber, but also how to bring people outside of an echo chamber with effective political communication is really important to anybody who actually cares about the people that they serve. And this kind of goes hand in hand with grassroots organization. Effective communication has to start at the very ground level amongst the people that you see every day. So it really is who you're going to be seeing on the street next to you, who's voting next to you in line, who's going to be next to you at the grocery store, who's in line with you at the bank. It's being amongst your fellow constituents when you understand what their needs are and how you have to talk to them and understand what their level of politics is in order to be able to really connect with them. So, you know, one of the campaigns that we saw really recently is Ron Mamdani's campaign in New York City did a great job of grassroots organization because his volunteer base was so widespread and diverse that they were able to connect with people from all over all 5 boroughs of New York City. It really wasn't just Gen Z like this article from Forbes is talking about. He's connecting with people of all ages, people from all different communities, because he has an effective team at the very ground level of people who understand not just who they live next to, but also where they live. So that grassroots organization is super important to political communication, especially as digital media becomes more prevalent. So 53% of US adults now receive news via social media, according to the Pew Research Center as of this year. So politicians have to be able to effectively use social media and digital media in order to spread their message. There's no such thing as simply putting out posts anymore. You have to understand how to work the algorithm, when you need to be posting in order to ensure that your message is actually seen. And you have to know how to come across as an authentic digital communicator as well, because it's very obvious when certain brands or certain politicians have their digital communications run by somebody who is obviously not in touch with the current trends or with the current state of the industry. So moving on to the industry itself, as a public relations professional, the median salary comes out to around $69,000 per year, which is definitely up there. For campaign managers on a political campaign, which is where a lot of comm staff gets started, we're looking more so at like 65,000. And as you move up the ranks to be something like a chief of staff for a politician, you would look at that 6-figure range of above 150 to 200 grand. And that's some data from the Emerson College, who has a political communications major. In terms of job creation, again, this is for PR. We're looking for a 5% growth forecast from 2024 to 2034. So definitely a lot of growth in the industry. politics is always going to be around, which means politics are always going to need communicators. So there's not really some sort of situation where we're looking at political communications as a field collapsing, because we're always going to have to be spreading the message of what kind of politics are happening in the country. And, there's a global demand for public relations. It's a $105 billion industry in 2025 with growth forecasted. Politics on its own is even so much larger of a field in terms of the way that we value it. It's not really easy to put a number on how much any politician might be making, but we know that there's a lot of money in politics, and there are many different avenues to work as a public relations professional in politics, whether it be with non-governmental organizations or with lobbying groups or with the actual government itself. So, just in terms of, going back to employment, there's a lot of different opportunities like field organization, campaign management, being a chief of staff, and working with a lot of different people. So preparation, I will be getting my degrees my bachelor's degrees in political science and communication public relations. And I'm definitely considering a master's in communication or in political science, yet to be seen, but it is very much so a field that you need to be educated for. A lot of people do go on to the process of going to law school in order to really deeply understand political processes and know what they're talking about. But for the public relations side of things, you really should be okay with a bachelor's level education. I have a lot of canvassing experience. I've been a longtime canvassing volunteer for the Middlesex County Democratic Organization. So, I've been in touch with the people in my local government for over half a decade now, I guess. And I also spent a year at the Marist Institute of Public Opinion, where I was a pollster. And Marist is one of the top polls in the country. They work with NPR and ABC. So our poll system is really good, and it taught me a lot about connecting with the everyday person and how they interact with politics. So that's just my experience. Some of the knowledge that you need for a career in political communication is really an understanding of your local environment and the needs of your constituents. So if you're in a new area, it can be really hard to understand the politics of that place. I'm extremely lucky where I've lived in the same town for almost my whole life, and I've really grown to understand how politics works in my own town. And that is something that I'm passionate about, local politics specifically. So that has given me a really major ability to connect with politicians and their staff, as well as the people who surround the political sphere through interest groups. Professional development, you definitely get a lot of field experience from working on campaigns. And then once you're working in-house with the legislative teams or with a interest group, then you can really work on expanding your reach and taking on leadership positions, because there are so many different things that need to be done in politics at all times that you really do get to learn on the job constantly. And so in terms of leadership, I would absolutely love to work with state political leaders. I would really like to work with the New Jersey State Government Department of Community Affairs, because they have a Office of Communications that spreads the message of anything that is happening in the state of New Jersey and how voters can access those resources. So messaging the state of New Jersey on important political matters, I personally think would just be an incredible form of leadership. But there's always more leadership to go in terms of the political field, because it's such a varied field, and there's always the opportunity to run for office or to run a campaign. And I'm keeping that on the back burner. But I would really love to work for the state government, DCA, just because of how important they are to connecting people who need resources with the resources that our state offers. And we're very lucky to live in a state that has so many amazing resources. And, one of my idols is Megan Coyne, who worked for the New Jersey government. She ran the New Jersey State Twitter, and then she worked in the White House. So she's a Rutgers alumna. There's a lot of through lines here, a lot of connections to be made. So we could move on to some of the key takeaways. The impact of being a political communicator is really just like connecting people to local politics in order to serve their needs. I'm super passionate about local politics specifically. Obviously, federal government needs political communicators as well, and they will be doing the same job on a much larger scale. Some of the skills that are really important to this job include research, data analytics, content creation, and press writing. So if you're going to be able to create content, you need to be able to create it for a wide variety of channels at this point. Integrated marketing is not just consumer focused. It is also state level at this point, and you need to be able to write. You need to be able to understand where your voters are coming from, and you have to be able to understand the data coming in from these major sources as you kind of spread the message of politics. And, public relations is a $105 billion industry globally with a $65,000 average salary and a 5% growth trend. There's definitely always a place to go in terms of political communication, as long as you're able to find the right networks, which is super important. So, professional development, I would really like to grow by working in like multiple different avenues of politics and communication, because like I said, learning is constant and on the job. You're going to keep learning so much no matter what's happening. And to really gain leadership, you would want to network with local politicians and organizers in order to really have contact with all levels of government for efficiency. Efficiency is a huge word, and communications is one of those things that really speeds up efficiency. So yeah, my career goal would be the communications department of the New Jersey State Department of Communications, Department of Community Affairs. And I believe that next we're going to talk about coalition building.
All right, so we're going to start off with Josh and just talk about how we're going to build coalitions in each of our respective fields. So Josh, if you want to take it away, and then we'll just move over to banking PR. All right, Josh, go right ahead.
Yeah, so coalition building is especially important in medical device sales, just because you don't get a sale by convincing one person. Hospitals and clinics, they make decisions through multiple stakeholders, so surgeons, nurses, their procurement office, their finance department, and hospital admins. So building a coalition means getting all these groups aligned on the device's value in order to get the sale. So it's very important. I would use a tailored kind of communication to align all those stakeholders. So I would meet separately with the surgeons and nurses, and then the finance department, just for example, and then understand their unique concerns before crafting a specialized message that speaks directly to each of the group's priorities.
So in terms of banking public relations, financial banking involves the sale of trust and coalition building, which preserves collective credibility and trust in a well-regulated and complex industry. What this essentially means is that we're going to have to preserve the relationships that banking officials have with the common public and the consumer base, as well as create internal mobilization of coalition building inside the institution itself to create different teams, if I were to put it in a very simplistic terminology, and like a sort of teams that would help propagate the message of the financial institution, the advertisement literature, as well as relaying feedback and critiques from the customer base to the financial institution and vice versa.
So for sports hospitality, coalition building is very, very important. It involves selling the services as a package and just being able to communicate with the brand you're working with. You're trying to form a strategic partnership. So this may be between teams, sponsors, venues, local businesses, things like that. The goal is to deliver memorable experiences and engagement, and then also loyalty. So these types of like alliances, they don't only reach credibility, but they also enable things like shared investment, innovation, and also a community impact. So this transforms hospitality from a service into a powerful platform for connection and for growth.
All right. And as I touched on during my section, digital marketing involves bold conceptual promotion and requires one to synthesize complex trends to stakeholders and with varying levels of understanding, warranting relational coalition building. So what I mean by that is basically you will encounter people in marketing who don't understand the importance of digital as it's in the process of ascending and becoming, more and more indispensable. There will be people who you have trouble quantifying the importance of digital marketing to, and you're going to have to build inroads with them and find ways to explain your work, quantify deliverables, and say, this is why this is important. There's a coalition that needs to be built between those who, may not understand digital marketing, may not understand the return on investment over there, and the people who think it's so important to drive towards success. So essentially uniting the tradition in the industry and emerging traditions requires a major coalition to be built.
Yeah, and I believe coalition building is 100% important matter for financial sales. When we sell financial system or products, clients need to feel confident in us. So otherwise, nothing moves forward. So for me, it is a very key tool for build trust and deliver results. Yeah.
Yeah, and then for political communication, coalition building is like one of the biggest things that you could think about, because we have to work to unite all of these different diverse perspectives in order to advance like the most basic of goals through just getting some legislation passed. It is super duper prevalent to have a coalition, and it is something that people talk about constantly, not just coalitions between the communicators and the politicians or the communicators and the voters, but between politicians themselves. We see coalitions being super important to passage of really basic legislation, but also to how our government operates on a day-to-day. So just coalition building is super duper important. And I think that all of these fields that we're going into, we're really going to be focusing a lot on teamwork and working with the people around us.
All right, so for this portion, we're just going to discuss some practical coalitions that we're going to be building. So if we want to go in the same order, we'll start with Josh and then move forward to Niyant and so on and so forth. What is one specific way that you intend to build a coalition in your professional career through strategic communication? Josh, if you want to take it from here.
Yeah, thanks, Alex. So I guess one way I'm planning to build a coalition is identifying key players, key influencers early, and then turning them into advocates or people who listen to me. So in practice, building strong relationships with respected clinicians like surgeons or the chief nurses, sharing data with them, listening to their feedback, and involving them in demos for the device. So when influential team members like this device, it kind of naturally brings others on board. And that would help me build momentum in my field.
I feel like one way that I would intend to build a coalition in my professional career would be to mobilize resources and gather together people from internally at Provident Bank to work together to address maybe complaints, feedback, and just concerns of customers in direct contingency with the marketing campaign that we're going to put out for the bank in order to increase sales. I would try to create a team that would address all the issues and even the positives that come into light when it comes to dealing with the consumer base. And the best way to do that would just be to have group meetings, maybe like once or twice a week. And in order to mobilize the bank's resources, we'd be able to further increase sales and customer experience.
So for me, I think the most valuable thing that I could do would be to network, and through the networking, build a reputation. Like similarly to what Josh said, having kind of like more key players within the industry value my reputation is very, very important and meaningful, because as we all know, people do talk. So having a reputation of fulfilling brand partnerships, making experiences enjoyable for sponsors, knowing that I can fulfill that might make people more loyal, like brands, and they might tell people to come work with the company.
Alex, do you want to go next, maybe?
Oh, yes. Sorry about that. So one specific way that I'm going to build a coalition is through, similarly to what Hannah said, even though I'm starting out in my career, the intention to lead through my work will lead to the coalition building I was just discussing. So providing comprehensive deliverables, being able to say, here is a campaign I worked on, here's exactly how it was successful, is going to help bring people kind of to the table. And then you can take it from there with the support of a coalition that ranges from, peers, fellow entry-level employees who support your work, and those above you, those who you might aspire to be like one day. Garnering all these endorsements from these people will build a support for moving forward and a coalition to further endorse your work and quantify your success.
So I will build a coalition by simply checking everyone in the loop. Just regular check-in with sales, client service, making sure we are on the same page. So just let everybody feel included and aligned. Just from really quickly, I believe.
Yeah, I think in terms of building coalitions in politics, specifically on the communications end, I would definitely want to be out in the field constantly. I would want to be within the community, understanding the people and what their needs are. So that way the coalition is built between the communicators as well as the constituents. I think that it's one of the most important ways of keeping like your constituents' desires in the loop and being a more effective politician. So just having that coalition between the community and the candidate is super duper important. And I think that's one thing that I would do just by being outside, meeting the people where they're at.
All right, and that is going to conclude our presentation. Here are some of our references, and thank you so much.